Yo, what is going on, guys? This is Steven, aka the Poke Technician, back here bringing you another video. 2 days in a row, what do you know? Today we are going to be doing the overall draft analysis for our draft league, which is the Squirrel Squad Battle Group, battling Team Life Orb, duking it out for bragging rights. This is a VGC Series 9 draft league. And I did upload my my own teams analysis yesterday, so if you haven't seen that yet, check it out. I'll try and put a card right here so you guys can click on that and take a peek. But in the meantime, what we're going to be doing is rating the teams you see down here on the bottom in our handy-dandy tier list here. So right off the bat, we are going to be starting off with the first team in the document, which is going to be the London Lucarios, coached by Michael. And what we are seeing here is Michael had a pretty early pick, I believe. He decided to go with Incineroar. We do see the Gothitelle, which is a really great mon. I have its Prevo on my own team. Ferrothorn, Hatterene, Talonflame, Oranguru. So you're seeing some really strong Trick Room elements here. Otherwise, you do see Dracovish, Raikou, Toxicroak, things like that. Cursula kind of adding to that TR element. This team has some really strong pieces. I will definitely say that. Incineroar is obviously a great pick. Although I think in Draft League you need to use it really intelligently. But Michael has proven that he's a really good player. He actually beat me out in the quarterfinals of last season's playoffs, so not a lot being said there necessarily, because I was the 8th seed in the playoffs, I believe, but maybe the 7th seed. But anyhow, this team looks strong. I think, like I said, there's some really great TR elements. The defensive cores are definitely there. What I do worry about is the offense, bringing it home for him, because when you look at the offense, it's mostly, I mean, Talonflame wants to set Tailwind. It can, of course, go for Dual Wing Beat, Flare Blitz, etc. However, when you look at sheer offensive mons, you're really looking at Dracovish and Raikou and perhaps Toxicroak in a setup manner there. So, while I do like this team, and a lot of the teams in this draft are ranked, in my opinion, A through C, very closely clumped together, I would say I have to put the London Lucarios at about a C tier here. So, moving on, we look at Neil, who is the host of the draft. He had the 2nd overall pick, I want to say, so had the opportunity to take Blastoise, which was on a lot of people's lists. The thing about Blastoise is it can perform max or non-max functions. It gets Yawn, Icy Wind, Fake Out, Helping Hand. For its max moves, you know, of course it runs the gambit. It gets Hydro Pump, Hydro Cannon. Yeah, just a bunch of really strong water type moves. Of course, it does get Ice Beam, Flash Cannon, or Sphere. Its coverage is quite nice, to be honest. But and it does get Shell Smash, so someone with good redirect would be able to take advantage of that pretty well. Otherwise, we're looking at Tapu Koko, Galarian Articuno, Pheromosa, Crook, Hitmontop. So you look at that top 6, and the top 6 is really, really strong. And this is a theme I think you can take note of throughout this entire draft. Is the top 6 picks are gonna be really, really good cores, it seems like. So offensively, I would definitely be scared of this team. In addition, he does have Kartana. Salazzle, I've seen some people trashing Salazzle. Severely underrated, in my opinion, as it does get things, it does get Fake Out, you know, it gets the opportunity to use Fire and Poison Stab, which is a really good dual typing. Does get beat up, not sure if he has a beat up Abuser off the bat here. Doesn't look like he does, but just a really good mon in general. Togepi and Pichu kind of meme picks, I do think. But if anyone can make them work, it's Neil, so... Neil, I am having a tough time between B and A on here. I think I will actually give him an A. It's very, very close. It's very, very close. but I think I'm going to end up dropping him here in the A tier. Yeah, the offense is just too much to overcome, and the fact that he has Togepi, despite the fact that it's very, very frail, just having him there is kind of a huge nuisance. So we're going to drop Neil into the A tier and move on. We are looking at NICO, who has a super powerful team. So instead of Togepi, we're looking at Togekiss here as his S tier pick. A great redirect Mon, of course, can drop max Airstreams. Has its super luck ability, which is really nice in doubles. He is running Garchomp, Heatran. Togekiss, Garchomp, Heatran is just a really strong 3-mon core. Snorlax having the ability to G-Max, able to regain its berry at times. Really, really nice. One criticism I've seen of this team is that it is not the strongest TR team, whereas Snorlax can function really good in TR. And I do agree with that knock on the team. Its typing coverage defensively is really, really good, so that's nice. You do see Crobat able to set something like Tailwind. Yeah, Scissor, just a really strong pick in general too, but you do have to watch out for that Psychic Train. If I had to assign this team a rating, I would probably put it at a B tier, I'm thinking. Togekiss, Garchomp, Heatran, Snorlax, that's like almost just a straight up A ranking to me off the bat, but looking at its composite parts, I do think that it is lacking some things. Togekiss, like I said, a really good redirect. Just some really interesting, more frail picks down at the bottom, but the typing synergy is right out of the park. So I am going to put this at the B tier. Where is NICO? Right there. Next up, we are going to be looking at Matthew Cha and the Tennessee Tortugas. Matthew's drafted a really nice rain team here. There were definitely some requisite parts that I felt like Matthew could have drafted earlier that would have benefited the team more than what he ended up slotting in ultimately. However, you look at Thunderous Eye. Thunderous Eye is easily top 5, top 3 Premier Mon in the draft league, for sure. Rotom Heat, very nice. Politoed contributes his rain, which is going to basically form the rest of his team here. Indeedee M, kind of a desperation pick, but has a really good move pool and a good support set, so definitely not left out in any regards in terms of its functional abilities. And just setting Psychic Terrain is going to be really, really nice as well. So you see Virizion, Goodra, Bronzong, 3 Mons that can function really well in the rain because it's going to cut down on their fire weakness. I'm sorry, Goodra doesn't have a fire weakness, but the other 2 do, and it's going. The rain is going to support that in a really nice way. Mandibuzz, kind of a just bulky makeshift Tailwind setter that can do some other stuff, such as foul play, etc. Sylveon, really, really nice Mon. Gets you on, gets your quick attack. If he has anything to weakness policy proc with the quick attack, Goodra perhaps would be a really nice Mon in that regard. And yeah, anyhow, that being said, I think you see that this is a multifunctional rain team. It's not a straight rain team because I think that got kind of sniped away from him. However, I do think that the alternate offense definitely makes up for that in some regard. I would give this team a B, I think, in my opinion. Like I said, it's got the amazing Thundurus, some really nice offensive pieces, functions inside of rain, functions outside of rain as well. Doesn't have much of a TR mode. Well, Bronzong definitely brings the TR mode, but I don't see any really strong abusers of that, so I will give him a small knock for that, despite the fact that his team looks really, really well-rounded overall. So let's toss this team straight into the B tier. And again, I think Neil and his Twin Leaf Piplups are like right on the cusp of the A tier. Not that I'm ranking these in any specific order within their tiers, but I would be really hard-pressed not to bring them almost down to B, but we'll see how it shakes out here. So next up, we're actually going to take a look at my team. So I had the 5th pick overall in the draft, and I was able to pick up Dragapult with that pick, which I think is certainly a top 5, top 4 pick in the Draft League Series 9 format. So, really, really nice. And I ended up pairing that with Nihilego, who does a great job of putting on offensive pressure, can be especially bulky, speedy. Beast Boost can boost its special attack or its speed, or its special defense, which I like. They won't do very often, if ever, but just a really nice pairing with Dragapult. I think what you can see is the first 5, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. The first 5 Mons plus Mamoswine on this list, so those 6 put on really strong offensive pressure. Tangrowth is kind of just nice and bulky, has the ability to set up using its max moves if I want to max it. And the rest are really just support Mons, but I am really happy with the way this team turned out. You're not going to see any weather or a niche like that with my team. However, you do see a really nice TR mode forming from Audino and Gothorita, allowing it to support those two to support Azumarill, Alolan Marowak, Mamoswine in the right situation. So that kind of forms the core of my TR offensive Mons, but there is Togedemaru, there is Alolan Marowak to absorb those electric moves, which I can potentially struggle with considering I have Azumarill, etc., etc., but I don't want to get too in depth. I do think the team looks really strong. I feel about myself kind of similarly to how I feel about Neil's team, in that it is a perhaps high B to low A type squad, or even just a mid B to low A type squad. So I think based on that, I'm going to have to put my team into the B tier. I think it would be one of the top teams in the B tier probably, but I'm going to just throw it there for now. And you can see we have a really nice pattern going on here. So, anyhow, let's move on to Mega Umbreon, who I've heard is a heck of a player. We can see he's sporting the Landorus T, really nice setup Mon, actually can do just so many things if you decide to max it. Suicune, very nice Mon with Snarl, Icy Wind, Water type moves, a bevy of other things that it can do. Mostly bulky mid-range attacker. Silvally, which I originally wanted for its Tailwind and its ability to be diverse in typing, but he ended up getting it, as well as Ditto, which Ditto's great, just a little unpredictable in doubles in terms of what you're going to actually be able to copy, but definitely a good Mon. Celesteela, he decided to go for another S tier pick. I have to say, I'm looking at his team and I'm like, if you have a really good electric type Pokemon, just start dropping electric attacks on it, because it does have a slight weakness to that, despite Serena and Pikachu, which is Pikachu's Pikachu. Let's be real about it. Yeah, so you see he spent a lot of his funds on Celesteela and ended up getting 3 extra tier 4s. Gardevoir actually a surprisingly good tier 4. Drampa, nice for Cloud9, of course. Hitmonchan, can't see much use for that, to be honest. Maybe as a Maxmon because of the ability to have really nice coverage moves, but where you see Lando and Celesteela and some really nice picks like Shandy, Silvally, Suicune, I think the team falls a little flat. Just based on my eye test here, you know. Don't get me wrong, I'm open to criticism. If you guys want to tell me what you think about these teams, please leave that down in the comment section. I'm happy to hear from you, respond to you guys, have a really fruitful conversation about this. But in the meantime, I think I am going to put the United Umbreons based on their team comp, not based on his playability or anything. Their playability, I don't know what their gender or gender identification is. But I'm going to put them here in the C tier. So that's what I'm thinking about them. Now we're moving on to Vincent. Good friend, of course. And we look at Vincent's team, and he's got much stronger cores, I feel, than the last one. Like Charizard Whimsicott is an amazing mode in and of itself. Weezing and Gigas, obviously, really nicely supporting each other. Milotic with the competitive, also has a lot of other things it can do and bring to the table, which is nice. Aerodactyl, easily one of the best tier 5 Mons in the draft. Ice Q Luxray Poltegeist, I feel the team does kind of fall fall short a bit there. Poltergeist can do some things. I think that it is a little underrated and underused, so people won't know what to expect from Poltergeist. But it can bring some things to the table that you wouldn't expect. Tea time, etc., you know. But Latios, a really good Mon. You know, nice and offensive, can set the Tailwind as an alternate for Whimsicott, do things like that. Lucario, I think we were both kind of vying for Lucario and Cobalion, but he decided to go with Lucario, which I think is good for him because it has a better supportive move pool with things like coaching and you know, it's not just it's got what quick guard, some of the guard moves, just a really nice move set that Cobalion doesn't have. Cobalion more when you see it on a team, you know it's going to be mostly running an offensive type of set. So, really great draft by him. I'm interested to see if he can pull off anything in terms of Ice Q and Luxray. Luxray gets Intimidate, which is a great ability, but I don't know that it does much outside of that. Its speed tier is middling to slightly low, and its move pool is kind of garbo, so just based off this is another one I have in high B to low A, in my opinion. I think we will decide to go with... This is one I really want to put in A. Its top 4 is so good. Latios, Melodic, Lucario, Aerodactyl. Yeah, this is just too strong of a team not to put in A tier. Just by the skin of its teeth. Like, this just outdoes the B tier team, so... I'm gonna put Vincent here in the A tier. One thing I could see it struggling with is maybe a rain team. Yeah, that could be a potential downfall of this team, but it does have the Wheezing, so that can, if played correctly, can stop the rain. So, anyhow, moving on, we are going to take a look at Paul and the Ohio Oshawotts. Paul picked potentially one of the most catastrophic tier S's in the entire draft, being Amoonguss. Amoonguss is a really, really good mon, but at S tier, it's kind of hot garbage. It has about 6 to 7 moves it can click, unless you're running the Life Orb variant. Shout out to Neil for Life Orb Amoonguss, but I don't see that happening very frequently in draft. But he does have T-Tar, Excadrill, a really strong core. Comfey, just an amazing mon, can support, can get the weakness policy off, can do all kinds of really nice stuff in terms of healing. Meowstic, a great low tier pick, it's Fake Out, Prankster, even competitive if you want to run the female form, so great mon. Cool thing about Inteleon is that you can run the G-Max form, which just dishes out insane amounts of damage. But otherwise, not a super strong mon. Naganadel, amazing mon, gets Tailwind, gets some really great coverage, another amazing Max mon, a little bit frail, but if you can get it rolling, especially in terms of its Beast Boost ability, you can definitely pick up some kills and even sweep entire games with it. Tauros, good procer. Good procer, has Sheer Force, so it can dish out some damage that way. Otherwise... I had Tauros last season, and I didn't bring it very often, if at all, ever even, I want to say, so... can be very useful, but I don't see it being incredibly useful in this roster. Fletchinder, really nice, because it's basically budget. Talonflame, able to set the Tailwind, Will-O-Wisp, do things like that. It does get Dual Wing Beat, pretty much the only move in terms of attacking that you're ever going to use with it, but... this roster definitely prompts me to put it in... Oh, Paul, I feel so bad. This team's pretty good. But I'm quite tempted to put it here in C tier. Only because of the fact that it seems a little meandering. Like, you do have the Excadrill Tyranitar combo, but you're not seeing much more synergy in terms of your Sand core. Otherwise, it just looks like you're putting some nice pieces together, so... Not gonna knock it too hard by any means, because, like I said, I'm tempted to put all of these teams in A through C tier. They're so closely matched, but... this one a little lower than some of the others, I would say, so... Moving on to Austin. Austin's team has gotten a lot of flack. And for that, I am incredibly surprised, because you look at a core like Regieleki, Indeedee Female, Gyarados, Rhyperior, Aromatisse, and Spectre. Hell, throw Corviknight in there. And you're looking at a really good team. This is a team that has the option to run just Tailwind with Corviknight and Rhyperior guarding Gyarados from those electric type attacks is amazing for it if it wants to go max. Regieleki as well. Fast, able to set screens, able to switch through, get the right matchups. Indeedee has, of course, amazing Follow Me support, but it can really, because of its ability to use Follow Me, it can really confuse its opponents and perhaps make them click the wrong move when it decides to go for something like a Helping Hand or an attacking move, etc., etc. Just a really great Mon. For Tier 1, I almost feel it's underrated. Call me crazy. Komodo, I'm not incredibly impressed by, but I know the coverage is really good there. Bolt Hunt for a competitive Mon. Just a fast electric as well. Can't see that being brought very often when Regieleki's sitting right there, but Spectre is nice. Even Shiinotic with the ability to Spore. You can definitely appreciate something like that. So, the typing synergy in this one is a little off. That's one thing I will say. You can see a lot of duplicate typing, a lot of common weaknesses. But if played correctly, I think the team can be really strong. So, that being said, I am going to put this team right here in the B tier. Moving along, we've got Ian's team. Now, Ian decided to make some really interesting moves. Ian picked up Urshifu Rapid Strike for their S tier, and also bought Colossal. So right there you can see the synergy really starting to build. Zapdos, just such a scary Mon. Such an incredibly scary Mon, especially with those typings around. Has the ability to Eerie Impulse, you know, electric moves, Heat Wave, Hurricane. If you want to bring it into a weather matchup, it has the ability to click some Weather Ball stuff and really obliterate its opponent. It does get Ancient Power if you want to mess with that. Roost. All kinds of good stuff. Its longevity is definitely there. It has some bulk to it. Mimikyu, an amazing TR setter, has an amazing ability as well. So you can guarantee this Mon's probably going to get a hit off. Otherwise, you're looking at Tangela as a nice redirect option, a little bit frail on the defensive end for sure, but it's kind of similar to Butterfree in that it clicks Rage Powder and it goes down, but when it clicks Rage Powder, it clicks Rage Powder, and you have to hit it. So, a nice Mon in that regard. Can do some other stuff too. Umbreon, another bulky partner for support, you know, has Foul Play, Yawn, stuff like that. Berserker, not really 100% sure where he was going with Berserker. Haven't used that much in doubles, but it does have a nice moveset, as you know. The Meowth evolutionary line does get some really great support moves as well, so nothing to sleep on. I just haven't really looked that in depth to it. Sirfetch'd has its own unique set of skills. First impression is always a threat, and just has a really nice attack stat. Could be abused under TR with Mimikyu as well. Sneasel, I think, fits this team so perfectly. Gets the ability to click Surf to proc Colossals, Steam Engine, and Weakness Policy if needed. And yeah, just that's what it does, and it does its job well. It has Fake Out, you know, has all the stuff that Weavile has, just at a slightly lower, slower, and less powerful speed tier. So yeah, we look at this team, and I think that Ian I'm going to have to put in the A tier. And he is the LA Laprases. So we look at Aaron's team next. And Aaron is bringing the Rain team with Pelipper, Kingdra, Ludicolo, really nice Raincore, Quillfish there as well. Not so strong, does get the Intimidate ability though, so can be used outside of Rain if absolutely necessary. Glastrier is part of a TR core, I do feel, however, No TR setters, so really just a weakness policy, I think, set on Glastrier is gonna something that you'll be seeing coming a lot. Mienshao in Tier 4, God, what a great pickup. Can you believe Mienshao's in Tier 4? This man got a super budget pick there, I will admit. Galarian Moltres, super duper strong. Great Tier S pick. Regirock there as well. Yeah, you can see his weakness policy with Regirock being proc in an absolute number of ways here, so. Looking at this team, I like the Rain Core. I do like certain offensive aspects of it. I think it leaves something to be desired. The fact that he picked Chansey makes me want to drop it to D tier right off the bat, to be honest. And Ninjask, no. Much love for you, Aaron, but I do think that this is kind of one of the weaker teams, and if you can assess how it's going to try and attack you, you can easily counter team it. So, Aaron, you're going in C tier, buddy. Sorry, buddy, but I do like your team. I think it has. I wouldn't be surprised if I get beat by it, unless I just decide to crit you time and time again, like last season. So, Utah, Dracoviches, and Daniel Walker. Daniel Walker just put out a video too, ranking a lot of the teams. I know Neil did as well. Team's good. Team's good. It's got redirect, it's got TR, it's got coaching. Rodriguez, You're gonna start seeing a lot of similar issues with that in terms of how Water and Ice takes on this team. Water and Ice has a really good time versus this team. Kangaskhan, again, Scrappy's nice, you know, you get your fake head option, last resort. Huge variety of coverage, can be a really good Maxmon too. Togetic gives you that redirect. Stakataka, he loves Stakataka, you know. It gets TR, it's super slow, it's super powerful, very defensive. Sharpedo kind of running the opposite direction with its speed boost ability, so you do see some speed control here. Yeah. You see some really good speed control here in terms of Torn, Togetic, Alolan Executor, Stakataka, Rooney, Sharpedo. Lots of options there. But does it come together into a core that makes you say, wow, I fear this. There's something that I have to prep for. The thing about draft is you look at the team, and if there's more than 6 Mons that you're like, I'm scared of this, I need to have a solid game plan for it, then you're really spreading yourself thin. And with this team, I don't feel that way. I feel like Cinder, Regidrago, Gallardorm, and Stakataka is basically the punches that he has to throw in terms of offense. Strong offense off the bat. So I will give the Utah Dracoviches. Man, this is one that's like a B- in my opinion. I'm going to give it the B. I'm going to give it B. I think the distribution should be B heavy, considering it's the middle tier. However, this could, I'm going to put it, I'm going to put it over here, and that will signify to you that it's the bottom of the B tier, even though these are really in no specific order, but that's how I feel about the team, so. We move on and look at Jack. Jack has been devoid from the drafting process. He did end up picking up Metagross, Entei, and Dragonite so far, I believe, which is a cool Mon, a cool core of Mons. Obviously, Bulldoze, Entei, and Metagross, and Dragonite covers most of their weaknesses. You know, you have a little bit of a Dark and a Ghost issue there still, but I'm sure between the 8 additional Mons he has yet to pick, he can cover that. For the purposes of being incomplete, and because he's going to have to select from the remaining pool of Pokemon, I'm just going to place Jack in D tier. I don't see his team being as synergistic as a lot of the teams that were able to pick during the draft, and for that reason I think he deserves to have the lowest ranking at this point in time. So, moving on to Christopher, aka Blaze Kick VGC, aka, whoa, that team is kind of scary. We see Rillaboom, obviously a huge threat, but a little bit easier to counter in the draft format, in my opinion, than in regular ladder VGC. So the cool thing about this team is Gigalith Dracozolt, just an insanely terrifying core. When placed alongside Arcanine, Drifblim with the Rillaboom terrain setting is very, very scary. Dusknoir seems a little bit out of place on this team. You look at it and you're like, oh, Dusknoir, he could set TR, you know, and do some of the other shenanigans that its pre-evolution Dusclops can do. But when you look at his TR core, you're really looking at things like Registeel and Gigalith. Like, it comes down to that, you know. There's not a lot to be done with it. There are other things Dusknoir can do, you know. It does get Will-O-Wisp, Pain Split, Ally Switch, some other fun stuff, but I think that in terms of that 3-mon core, it falls a little bit flat. Landorus IA is a really nice mon, but probably a little spendy for what you want it to do in this format, and Alchemy, I'm not super familiar with, to be quite honest. I know about its max move, I know that it gets Decorate, etc., but I can't see it being very easy to pull off in this format with so many really strong top 5, 6, 7 offensive core mons. So for that reason, I am going to give Christopher and his Chikotimi Shurikens, hopefully I pronounced that right, a solid C tier. I'm thinking, oops, sorry, wrong team. Solid C tier. Okay. And yeah, you can see that I only have one D team. This does seem a little bit biased or just kind of too evenly spread, but I really, really don't think that any of these teams are a D besides Jack. Much respect to all you guys in your drafting process. I think you've done a really, really good job. So moving on, let's see if we will eventually achieve the nirvana of S tier. Speaking of which, next up is Weiss and the Realist Rotoms. I don't know if it's Realist is spelled on here or Realist is spelled on the tier list, but either way, interesting team name. So we look at the top 4 here. Venusaur, Terrakion, Torkoal, Weavile. Ridiculous, right? We're looking at something, this is very similar to Vincent's team in this regard. The top 4 has 2 very definable modes, which are both really, really strong. We've got Venusaur for the Sun, and we've got Weavile Terrak for beat-up shenanigans, Surf, Weakness Policy, etc. Really nice. Klefki, a great screen setter, great at a lot of things, actually. Its prankster ability lends a lot to it. Only worry is it's really facing Psychic Terrain and Dark types. Otherwise, this mon is mostly support with a few attacks thrown in to chip away at the opponent. We look at Swampert. Swampert's an amazing mon with Wide Guard, great dual typing, allowing it to soak up some of those electric and fire type attacks that maybe the others wouldn't appreciate so much. Sudowoodo, I don't know. That's all I've got to say about Sudowoodo. But Porygon 2, holy buckets, man. If you told me a team got Venusaur and Terrak Weavile with Swampert, Klefki, and Porygon 2, mostly the top 4 plus Porygon 2, I would literally poo my pants. Because this is such a terrifying squad to face up against. Porygon 2, you know what it does. It's got the Trick Room mode ability. It's got Recover Stall, a bevy of coverage moves, just download and trace, potentially, and even analytic, making it a really, really scary threat. So you look at the rest of the team, Rotom Fan, definitely underrated in my opinion, has the electric coverage, can drop those airstreams to kind of boost the rest of the team. Buzzwole sits there as bulky offensively, does share some similar weaknesses to the rest of the team, however, has his place on the team as well. This team, when the worst thing I can say is like, oh, Sudowoodo, and you know that they can drop and trade it in free agency anytime they want. That's an outstanding vote of confidence for this team. So this is the team that I had marked as an S tier above any other. And I think I'm sticking with that idea because it's just How do you prep? How do you prep for this team? So many teams decided to take 2 S tiers, which is a good strat, don't get me wrong, but I think this one did the best job of it with its pairing. They could have gone for Charizard, and I think it was smart that they didn't, because Venacole in draft just has its own place because you want to pull off your strategy, you know? That's what you spend your time prepping for, and I think with this team, has the ability to mix up exactly what it does match to match, but the strategy is going to be so strong overall that I think you can't look away from this team. It's just too powerful. Anyhow, last team we are going to look at is JAYME and the Birmingham Buzzwolves. I think I gave him the wrong name, the wrong team name in my analysis video, but so sorry for that, JAYME. We're in a couple different leagues together, and he has different team names in those leagues, so it is what it is. But we look at his team comp: Urshifu single, Porygon Z, Latias. Really great core. We are seeing a bit of a fairy weakness. Raichu is amazing. Lapras in tier 3 is the absolute #1 biggest underrated mon in the entire draft, I feel. Lapras in tier 3 for him was just such an incredible pickup. And it does have the ability to relate well in terms of hitting Latias if it wants to with an Ice Shard and activating its policy. Yeah, it can do same with Settlements. Probably isn't going to want to do that so much. Rotomo, it really just has a good time, and it covers its teammates' weaknesses so well, so seamlessly. Charge Bug with battery ability was brought to my attention yesterday. It makes it a better tier 5 than I would have initially thought. Lightbird, Prankster is really nice. This team's terrifying. Vaporeon is probably... Charge Bug's the least scary pick, but Vaporeon is the next least scary pick, which means something, because you go up and down this roster and you realize that you are not going to get the hits off on this team that you want to be able to get off. You better have something really smart in store for JAYME, because Urshifu, Porygon Z just hit so hard. Latias has nice defense. Raichu has Fake Out, Lightning Rod support. For Lapras, who's going to want to set the screens. It's just crazy. Lightbird obviously doing a bajillion things with his Prankster ability. Volcarona as your redirect really covers things like Porygon nicely. And Salamence doing something similar. Does have the Intimidate, does have the Moxie. Has a really nice move pool. One of the best Maxmons for sure. Rotomo seems a little bit scant in this format, but at the same time, if it can deliver the right hit at the right time, it can do its job, and Will-O-Wisp is always sitting there, which is really nice with its typing. Vaporeon, you know, setting off yawns, doing its thing, maybe switching into a water type attack to absorb that. So, this team, I think, in my opinion, schmiz. After having gone over it, one of the things that I noticed is lacking is its speed tiers. Its fastest speed tier is what, Latias at 110? Maybe Lightbird's right up there too. I don't think so. Everything else is really close to 100 in terms of the faster mons. Makes me want to put it in the B tier. So yeah, I'm gonna put it in the B tier. As you can see, most of the teams are here in the B tier. But I think that makes sense. Like, the A tier is going to be a little bit more exclusive. The B and C tier are going to be kind of more your average teams. So I feel like this is a pretty inoffensive list. Hopefully you guys enjoyed my analysis. There's going to be lots of battles to come. Week 1, I'm going to be playing against Paul and the Ohio Oshawotts, who have ranked down in C tier. So I'm super ready to receive some feedback for that. But yeah, like I said, hopefully you guys really enjoyed. This is kind of my idea of what everything looks like it's shaking out like in the SSBG versus Life Orb Draft League. So more to come your way. Thank you for watching. Drop a comment, drop a like, and I will catch you guys around soon.